The Houston Rockets are having yet another terrible NBA season. They are currently second to last in percentage, second to last in points per game, second to last in field goal percentage, dead last in three-point percentage, 26th in free throw percentage, 28th in assists, and second to last in defensive rating. So they cannot do anything right. And we understand that they have a young team and are still developing, but it's still not a good idea to turn on a Rockets game. But of course, all of this losing may be rewarded in this year's NBA draft, because there is a prospect that's been on the NBA's radar for the last year or so. This prospect is dynamic, skilled, and a freak athlete. And no, we are not talking about Victor Wembanyama. We're talking about Scoot Henderson. We know, that may come as a surprise to most. Why wouldn't the Rockets or any other team with the first pick not select the 7'3" generational talent? Well, for starters, just how many of these generational prospects or incredibly hyped prospects have ever actually panned out over the past several years? In 2022, Chet Holmgren was supposed to be the unicorn, an immediate game changer. And yes, we know he got injured, and he's not a bust or anything crazy like that yet, but he does have a similar skill set and build to Victor. We're not saying Wembanyama is going to be injury prone or get hurt early in the preseason like Holmgren did, but it's still really likely that the 7'3" French kid could have some type of injury problems. And if you're the Houston Rockets, do you really want to take that gamble? Let's address the elephant in the room. While Chet and Victor do have similar builds and skill sets, Victor is without a doubt the better prospect. Just had to get that out of the way before the comments section blows up. But another generational prospect and freak athlete that has struggled with injury is Zion Williamson, who can't stay healthy to save his life. But to make a long story short, this is the exact reason that the Orlando Magic selected Paolo Banchero over Holmgren. They wanted to draft the most safe, secure, and most polished player. And if the Rockets get the #1 pick, they should do the exact same thing and select Scoot Henderson. Here's why. First off, let's start with his athleticism. He's in the same conversation as prime Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, and John Wall when it comes to exploding to the rim and running downhill. And his ability to get buckets in transition could work wonders for the Rockets, because they're second to last in points in transition. And if you want to be a good team in this league, you have to be able to get the easiest points consistently. The Boston Celtics, Sacramento Kings, Memphis Grizzlies, Denver Nuggets, they're all top 10 in points in transition, and they just happen to be some of the best teams in the NBA. Scoot's ability to lift off the floor is incredible, and he pulls off dunks that just make you go wow pretty often. And he's only about 6'3". That's what really makes his dunks so impressive to witness. And if the defense is set and hustles back into transition, he still has the footwork and finesse to slice through the defense and finish over or around you. Another way he utilizes his athleticism is with his quick first step. He can blow past defenders with a variety of moves. And once he accelerates, forget about it. It's game over. It's so similar to Ja Morant or Derrick Rose's first step. It's almost like they teleport to the rim. And we gotta be careful here, because we're not trying to say he's the next Derrick Rose or even the next Ja Morant. But either way, his first step is among the best in this class for sure. He only really needs a little bit of breathing room to get by you. And we can already see him punishing teams while they're closing out on him at the three-point line. One other small thing he does when getting to the rim is protecting the ball from defenders. This is a habit that will pay off big time versus NBA level defenders. But now let's talk about his mid-range scoring. And here he has the potential to be elite in this league. He has multiple ways of getting his shot off in the mid-range: coming off of screens and pulling up, pump faking at the 3 and stepping inside for a long 2, coming down in transition and stopping on a dime before pulling up for the jumper, and he has the ability to hit off balance leaning mid-ranges from either elbow. Some say the mid-range is dead, but players like DeMar DeRozan, Brandon Ingram, Devin Booker, De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Bradley Beal, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would disagree. They're making a living scoring in the mid-range, and Scoot has the potential to be in that list. The Rockets are the 3rd worst mid-range scoring team, so having a player like Henderson will surely help in this department. So drafting Scoot Henderson will solve 2 of their problems: scoring in transition and getting buckets in the mid-range. And when it comes to his three-point shooting, he fits perfectly with the Rockets, and that is not a good thing. Like we mentioned earlier, the Rockets are dead last in three-point percentage, and Henderson is shooting a horrendous 27% from 3 on 2.7 attempts per game. Yes, DeMar DeRozan and De'Aaron Fox are both shooting under 33% while still being scoring machines, but they're so dominant in the mid-range and getting to the rim that they don't really need a great three. And while Scoot is a good mid-range scorer, like we just talked about, we don't think he'll be as good as Fox or DeRozan from there in year one. But he does have the form and the technique to get better in this area. And if he can shoot at least maybe 36% from three on a few attempts per game, he'll already be ahead of a lot of players. And now we have to talk about his passing ability. And while it's been overshadowed by his flashy dunks and blazing speed, passing might be his best attribute on the court. And this is where he really separates from Victor Wembanyama, because the Rockets desperately need a floor general. And remember, the Rockets are 28th in assists per game right now. And to make matters worse, they also are dead last in turnovers per game. So it's obvious they lack facilitating and decision making. And Scoot could be a big step in the right direction. One aspect to his passing that doesn't really even require any skill is just how unselfish and willing of a passer he is. Because it's not always about throwing flashy no-look passes. It might be hard to believe, but most of Nikola Jokic's, Tyrese Halliburton, and Chris Paul's assists come from them just moving the ball and making a simple pass. Not too long ago, Scoot had 16 assists in a single game. And like half of them, if not more, were just him swinging the ball on the perimeter or just kicking out to an open shooter. And he also has excellent court vision and is always dribbling with his eyes up. He's someone who's going to make sure his teammates get the ball in their spots. Just a true leader that plays passionate basketball. And on the defensive end, he has the potential to be a good on-ball defender. He has really good active hands, and when he's fully engaged, he can pickpocket absolutely anyone. He uses his 6'9" wingspan to be disruptive in the passing lanes and racks up steals and deflections, but he's far from polished here. He isn't the most consistent defender, and that's something that's really common in young offensive stars. He does have all of the physical tools to be an impactful defender, though. He does struggle with getting over and under screens, and given how often NBA teams perform the pick and roll, that's something he will need to improve. But these are all things that he can learn with reps and good coaching. And he sort of reminds us of Anthony Edwards on the defensive end at times, because at one moment he looks like your average or even below average defender, and then on the next possession he looks like an elite lockdown perimeter guy. It really can be all over the place. But now let's talk about a few of his potential teammates on the Rockets who could benefit from him going there. Starting with Jalen Green. Jalen Green is averaging 21 points in his sophomore season, proving to be one of the better, younger scorers in the game. But he also struggles from three and plays a part in the Rockets' poor shooting percentages. He's shooting 33% from three on a high volume 7.5 attempts per game. And we think this is where Scoot can maybe come in. He'll allow Green to play a lot more off ball and give him easier looks from three. But the biggest problem with this potential backcourt is Jalen Green's bad defense, and it's not a sure thing that Henderson will be a good defender in his first year. And then, of course, you might have a bad shooting backcourt as well. Honestly, the only realistic way this backcourt can succeed is if both Scoot and Jalen improve their three ball and play more impactful and consistent defense, especially Green. But it definitely could happen, and maybe even work. And we just love the idea of Jalen Green having a good passer like Scoot running the point. And for Alperen Şengün, who's averaging 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists, they could actually become a better duo. We could see them becoming like a De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis type duo. And we think Şengün could really benefit from having such a good facilitator. Henderson's playmaking ability will most likely result in Şengün getting more touches down low in the post, and he'll be put in easier positions to score from dump-off passes. And then, of course, you have the two youngsters in Jabari Smith Jr. and Terry Eason, two promising two-way players that set the tone defensively. Overall, it would just be interesting to see Scoot thrown into that young, talented core. But what do you think? Should Scoot Henderson be the #1 pick over Victor Wembanyama? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.